So for years, whenever we've been out on rides, whether they're road rides, gravel rides, or a mountain bike ride, we've had one or two small options to be able to air up our tires if we get a flat. One is a simple hand pump, and the other option has been a CO2 inflator. But the problem is with both of these options, most of the time you're left just guessing how much pressure is in your tires. But now there's a company out there that claims that they solved this problem, being able to dial in your pressure prior to actually inflating your tires with a CO2 cartridge. And this company is called Skowicki, or at least that's how I pronounce it. This is the Skowicki preset CO2 injector and deflator. I'm gonna test this guy out to see if it's really worth nearly double the price of other CO2 inflators that are already on the market. This guy comes in at $33.99. But if it does what it says and it's easy to use, this could be a game changer for whenever you're out on the trail to dial in your PSI with CO2 cartridges. So you're gonna get 4 different sides on this. This is gonna be your dial and also a pressure release valve. On this side, it's going to be basically your plus and minus release on the actual CO2. On this side, this is where you're going to insert the CO2 cartridge and you'll thread it on there. And this side is the side that will go onto your bike, and it uses Presta valves. Okay, so if we take a look at this, I'm gonna be using this threaded CO2 cartridge. You're gonna have to use threaded cartridges regardless of what size you use. I've got 25 gram cartridges because these are more ideal for mountain biking and gravel biking. So with the CO2 injector in hand, you simply just find the side that will actually connect up to the CO2 cartridge. You make sure that you have your gauge set to where you want it. For me, I'm gonna set it to about 40 PSI, and then we're gonna go ahead and thread this all the way on. And you wanna make sure you thread it completely on. Also, you're gonna wanna make sure that you turn the dial all the way to the minus. And now we've got the CO2 cartridge on here, we can go ahead and attach this to our bike and start the air up process. Now there is a little trick whenever you go to use this. From what I have been told, you wanna make sure that you release the CO2 as slow as possible. CO2 gets very, very cold, and if it gets too cold, it can freeze this up in here, and then it would prevent it from actually doing the job of slowly releasing the air and hitting that exact PSI range that you're wanting. All right, I got this set for about 40 PSI, so let's go ahead and let's see if we can get this thing aired up. We should see CO2 actually come out the top here, and it should make a kind of a squealing sound once it meets its desired pressure. Let's just see how accurate this thing is. In my opinion, these things should be basically foolproof, because a regular CO2 injector, you just basically put the cartridge on and air up the tire, and it dumps all the CO2 inside the tire, and you know you're good to go. Hopefully this doesn't make this too complicated, and it needs to be very, very fast, because that's the whole point of a CO2 cartridge. All right, we'll go ahead and put it on our tire here, and then we should be able to slowly open this up to the plus side. You don't want to do it too fast, because I've heard that this can actually freeze the mechanism inside here. So let's go ahead and start the process. All right, I think no, there's no way that's 40 PSI. Let's go ahead and fill it up some more. I saw the CO2 eject, but I didn't hear any noise. This is really, really cold. Tire feels firm, but let's see if we got close to that 40 PSI. 31 PSI, so I probably could have dialed it in a little bit more. All right, so we're gonna go for round 2. I have put this on what I think would be closer to 60 PSI. We're gonna see if we can get this thing kind of dialed in to where we know what it's gonna do. Let's go ahead and put it on the valve again. Let's go ahead and air this up. Not a big fan of my CO2 just flying out like that. That feels pretty firm. 36, so that's a little bit closer. But again, it did spit out quite a bit of CO2 right at the very beginning. So there is definitely a learning curve to using this. and that can kind of come at a cost. 25-gram cartridges are pretty expensive. So I've personally gone through about $50 worth of CO2. I've been using this on mountain bikes and on my gravel bike to try to get it dialed in. And that exact example that I showed you there kind of shows you that you have to really know exactly where you need to turn this dial. Also, you want to make sure that you carry a larger CO2 cartridge because CO2 can escape out of the top here. I'm using 25-gram cartridges and I'm draining them to fill up one tire on my gravel bike. So the question is this really worth the money over a standard CO2 injector? Well, I'll let you be the judge. All right, guys, if you like this, or if you want to pick up one of these skewy CO2 injectors yourself, you can use my links down below. But as always, we'll see you in the next one.